How we going, sir?
Hydrated. Stay hydrated, sir.
Here we go. Dragon Nation, man. I see you got everything in the background.
We're going good. We got your good friend Ernesto coming up too. I assume you guys are friends. Ernesto coming up here. He's going to co-host with me. Paul's got dental surgery today, so Ernesto's coming on here in a little bit. So, we're very, very Dragons heavy today.
There we go. Nothing wrong with it.
What? Wait, what? Sorry, I chose the Wildcats, so that's where my loyalties lie. Welcome to the show, man. We appreciate you coming on short notice after everything that happened this week with the CFL, the XFL, and the UFPA releasing a statement.
Yeah, no, I appreciate y'all, showing support and offering the platform. It's been a long kind of year of just being not employed because of COVID. I think everybody's facing tough situations and guys trying to navigate how they're going to go about continuing their careers. So glad to be able to come on here and shine a little light on some of the stuff that's going on.
Yeah. So first off, so we talked with Rob Peterson already. I know that he had some hot takes. We recorded with him on Tuesday, and I kind of filled him in on who you guys are. We've obviously been following you guys since last year when everything was starting to go. But for listeners here, that are hearing this kind of in the order of everything happening in the podcast, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you guys are and specifically just kind of your background and getting into that.
Yeah, definitely. I think first, there was, all types of stuff getting thrown around yesterday. And I think we tried to kind of refrain from responding to a lot of things because we understand that, first off, we're not a union. And so there was a lot of, who are these guys? Are they a union and this and that? Unfortunately, we are not in a position to even have a players union because we don't have an employer. And that has been the case for the past 2 years. So it's really just been a collective body of the players from the past 2 seasons coming together and realizing that, hey, we missed out on a lot of situations and opportunities that we had to go back after the fact and find out about. And so, this isn't, I saw what Rod put out, the video kind of afterwards, and, definitely appreciate changing his tone a little bit after, getting informed about what we're doing. But, this is not an attention grab. This is not a followers thing. I said if we only have 416 followers and it's all the players, that's all we'll ever need because that's the only people we're here to protect and look out for. A players association, we started up as a trade association because that's the only thing we could do to collectively organize. And it was everybody, you know what I mean? It was guys from all the teams. It was guys from the AAF. The unique thing about the situation that we've been in the past 2 years in these spring leagues is that you've seen guys who have played in the league for multiple years, been a part of an NFLPA, been a part of a players union and know what that looks like, and really went into these 2 situations, I won't say naive, but a little bit maybe taken for granted how much that players association really holds weight for the guys. And so situations like the IRS tax situation with the AAF and the bankruptcy situation with the XFL, these are all things that, we're kind of left in the dark because we were never in the room anyway. And so, that has been our main goal, our main focus is just to educate players and try to navigate. We're in the middle of a pandemic and guys don't know what's going to happen next. And the number one priority is to make sure that guys are aware of the situations that might be faced, because right now we're in a time as a country where guys are getting laid off of jobs. There's not all these things. We're talking real life. At the end of the day, this football stuff is secondary to putting food on the table for your families. And so to be going back and forth, are we playing? Are we not playing? We haven't really got the direct answer yet. We were excited to see the commissioner as passionate as he was yesterday and say, come out and play. We have 80 guys from the XFL that are in the CFL now. We've helped those 80 guys out in situations when we didn't have a union. So we've talked to some of these guys in the past year, and there is no ill will towards the CFL or CFLPA or any of that. And I think a lot of stuff was just a little bit misconstrued. There was a bunch of, we're denying their claims. Our claims were never false. Our claims were never that they're not having a season. It was what we've heard because we had guys reaching out to us saying that they did not hear a definitive answer, and they just went through that, in the past year with the CFL not being able to have a season. And if you look at the 3 leagues from the past 2 years, that was probably the worst situation of all when it comes to COVID and all this stuff, because they didn't get to play at all. We got 5 games into it, at least got to get a little bit of film, get a little bit of money and things like that. So, I'm excited to just kind of come on and really just expand on some of this stuff that, we've been going through. But that's the basis of it, man. We're a players association that can't unionize right now because we don't have an employer, but we would like to be in position to be able to progress whatever league comes about. And you hear Dwayne Johnson and Danny Garcia speaking about the players and about opportunity for the players and being a players first league. We're 100% on board and excited and behind Dwayne and Danny, because we do feel like Dwayne has come from where we come from. And speaking and hearing Danny talk, she's a powerful woman in the industry. And I'm a firm believer that we need more of a balance in the top of industries like that, with women being in those positions. So, I think there's a lot of good things to come. And I think right now everybody's a little bit on edge and everybody wants to have an argument. And that's not what we're trying to do. At the end of the day, like I said, if 800 players are all players and those are the only people we have the attention of, that's the only people we need. And players have come to us because we're not getting paid for any of that work that we've done for the past years. We went through IRS 101 and bankruptcy 101, voluntarily, because we've been trying to help all of us out in the situations that we've been faced with for lack of having a union. So that's a little bit of a background on everything.
Yep. No, thank you.
So to that point, I think what needs to be underscored here is that everybody who's been commenting on this week on what seems to be different sides, like let's just say you and Rod are kind of on different sides about certain things. Underlying all of that, both of you, as well as us here on the Markcast, care about the players. That is the underlying thing that we can all agree on. We all care about the players. So how can we improve the communication between someone like yourself and people that are more in tune maybe with the CFL, like a Rod Peterson or anyone like that?
Right. I think, it was, you look at some of the potentials that'll happen, and we had a little bit of early communication before a lot of the players started signing to the CFL. We had guys reach out to us like, if I sign to the CFL, will I be able to come and maybe possibly join a relaunch of a 2022 league? And that was stuff that they had to be aware of, or their agent had to be aware of going into those contract negotiations, because you have things like team options where if a guy signs a CFL, he might not be able to leave the CFL unless it's going to the NFL. Yeah. All these other leagues, these leagues want to have the talent and all of this stuff to make the league go. And so that was a little bit of a situation where, once again, we were educating players on, if you're going to go there, just make sure that if your intentions are to come back to the States and play in a relaunch of the XFL, make sure that's in your contract, because we know how contracts get. You know what I mean? And I think that's another thing too. And because of all this stuff that we've had to go through, players have really learned a lot these last 2 years on the business side of things and what has to be done to make sure that, the circumstances are what they think they're getting into. And so when you look at the horizon of a potential merger, that means that what is going to happen with the experiences that we've went through as players here in the States in the past 2 spring leagues, and the experience that the CFLPA players have gone through. If there's a merger, there's going to have to be some type of merger of collective union or something to move forward. And so we want nothing more but to have a healthy relationship with the CFLPA to be able to say, if there is a merger and there's a super league with Canadian teams and USA teams, we would like to all be on the same page and all working forward for the better of the collective. And so I think that's just, like you said, I think all of this is definitely going to result in conversations. We tried to nail down a meeting, like I said, with the CFLPA. They reached out to us. We had kind of went back and forth a couple times, just kind of missing each other. And then this happened, and we had received more stuff from them. So I do see a meeting to kind of, in the future to kind of clear everything up and get everybody on the same page. Because at the end of the day, communication is what's needed, and it needs to be transparent and honest communication about whatever the situation is laid out. Because we're in too serious of times to be, not letting guys know all the information that could possibly be real.
Yeah, I think if nothing else, what you guys are trying to do is just to let players know that maybe not to have all their eggs kind of in this basket right now. I saw some players even commenting, on all the threads saying that, yeah, they had not heard a lot about, when are we reporting the training camp? I mean, we've covered all these leagues for the last, better part of a year now between the spring league and fan controlled football and really trying to look out for the players. And so I definitely understand where you guys are coming from, where we did have, food issues and COVID issues in San Antonio with the spring league. I know when fan control football, their championship game will be Saturday. And they were going to have kind of a compensatory game, they called it, and with the other teams that hadn't, that weren't in the championship, and they canceled that this week. And I was very vocal online, making sure that those players would get a chance to be paid, even if they weren't going to be playing in that game, because maybe it wasn't necessarily their decision, right? So I do think it is important to have people like you and a union, whatever you want to call it, a collective of individuals, whatever, to advocate for that, because as someone that has covered these leagues for the last year, like I definitely get where there are things that fall through the cracks. So I do think it's important to have someone like you on there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's all we want to do. I think, like I've said multiple times now, the circumstances that everybody is going through, not just us as football players, there's a scarcity right now because of lockdowns, because of travel restrictions, because of all these different type of things. So, the last thing we want our guys doing, and let's be clear, this is not a league that revenues billions of dollars. These aren't multi-million-dollar contracts. We were in the XFL with a $27,000 base salary that, because of lack of a union, we couldn't negotiate anything in that. And so to go to that, it's needed. You know what I mean? The communication is needed. All of these things are needed, especially if this spring platform is going to continue to grow. And I've said multiple times, these platforms for players are like gold. There hasn't been a real consistent, not to the level that the AAF, that the XFL was able to accomplish shortly. There hasn't been that type of level of play like that in that time span. So it's something that the players appreciate, but we can't let the opportunity kind of trump us being in the dark or being ignorant to what's going on.
What are your thoughts on this potential merger situation then? That all being said.
Of course. We just, I think that's going to be something that waits to get played out. I know one thing that, we've come across is the fact that the Canadian League right now and the Canadian government, it's been said multiple times that they had reached out to try to get loans and they were hurting for money, this and that. And so I think one of the things that's going on right now is there's a betting bill to get passed in Canada, which could increase the revenue if gambling is allowed there. And so, we don't know what that looks like. If they're able to pass that, do they still merger? If they are able to pass that, is that going to bring about a even bigger type of opportunity for a merger because of that, cross-border and betting and all these things that come on. But, at the end of the day, this is all stuff that, like I said before, we as players need to be aware of all the possibilities, because if the merger is going to be something, then you're going to have having to cross borders to go play and all these type of different things. That's a lot on the player, and their families and all of these things. And at the end of the day, that's what we want to be in the know about. I think if it's a merger and it's better for the league and it's better for the game and it's better for the players and it provides more opportunity, we're all for it. We're not trying to shut down anything. We want to be able to shine light on things for the players to be more aware of things. And if it's a bigger league where it contains more people and more exposure, then guys want that. That's what we want as players for everybody. So yeah, I mean, I hope, maybe something comes of it. And there is a North American, Canadian, that would be a cool deal. If they can get all the logistics and stuff right with everything going on with COVID, looks like that's going to be a lot to have to plan out, which is probably why a lot of logistics to have to go down, from travel restrictions and all types of stuff, taxes and all these types of things. So, more opportunities. That's what guys want.
Perfect. Just before we let you go, final thoughts. Obviously there's going to be a lot to work through here in the coming, months, whatever. If there are players, you want them to reach out to you, right? So you guys can keep everyone in the know. Kind of final takeaways before we let you go with everything going on.
Yeah, I think this is the biggest thing is that, the players who are part of this are the people who are part of this are players. Like, we've been in these situations. So, we've been hands-on. We've been hands-on with trying to navigate some of the difficulties that we were left with. And so, we bring experience and knowledge to what has gone down here in these last 2 spring leagues. And we want to help the guys no matter where they're at. If, like I said, there's 80 XFL guys in the CFL. And I'm not saying that to say we only want to help the 80 guys in the XFL that were part of the XFL, because they already have a players association. But, we've had guys from there reach out to us and ask us questions. And so, and nobody's trying to step on CFLPA toes or anything like that. I know guys personally. We all know each other. We've all played in all over the world. And so at the end of the day, if we can all come together, have healthy communication, and I think it's only going to be better for all of us. And so, that's the only thing that I want to get across from the UFPA is that we're all in the same boat. To be honest, CFL was hit the hardest because they didn't have a season at all. So, it's not, nobody's throwing around any type of agenda or anything like that. This is strictly for the players to get them in the know and make sure that they're aware of all the things that are on the horizon.
Awesome. Kenneth Farrow, we want to thank you for your time joining us here on the XFL Markcast. We'll hopefully have you back on to talk about more of these issues at a later date.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Reed.